Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. What if gold and silver mining came to a complete stop? Let's explore! An interesting concept to consider and think about. And this video is inspired by Think For Yourself, who actually posed a great question. What would silver and gold prices do if mining stopped? And we know the answer. Well, they would skyrocket tremendously. Think about it. If no more gold and silver were mined on this earth, and considering especially the amount of industrial uses, especially for silver, but even more importantly, how much gold is treasured and stockpiled by central banks around the world, the prices would go up like crazy. And who would lose and who would win in a situation like this? Well, if you're thinking to yourself, well, Sal, that sounds like a ridiculous concept because we know that's not going to happen anytime soon. But how many videos have you seen in predictive analysis by saying we have reached peak gold or we have reached peak silver and we're going to run out soon? More than likely, you've seen a lot of videos like that, and most of those give crazy bullish predictions of where gold and silver are going to go. But what happens? Well, we see new discoveries. In fact, you've seen them talked about on this channel and others. And there's a lot of exploration companies out there that are looking to find new deposits. And they're using the latest in technology to do so. But, so that means that when more silver deposits are found, more gold deposits are found, that's going to increase the supply of gold and silver year over year. And that supply will be gobbled up to some extent by demand. And so gold and silver prices do not rise to the level that many predict they will or should. And I'm of the mind that we're going to see human consumption of gold and silver increase more so than the mining, than what that can be pulled out of the ground. And because of the rising population and as well as increased demand for consumption for silver, and to some extent gold as well. But in the stockpiling of gold by central banks, and but culturally, especially in China and India and the rising population, that is not going to go away anytime soon. And so it does make us wonder, well, what if it just stopped? And it is an interesting concept to consider, because if it did stop, you're going to see prices rise. Now, who would win in a situation like this? And who would lose? Let's talk about who would lose out first. I think that who would lose out is, well, many of us stackers could lose, especially if you're brand new to stacking silver or gold, because it would be essentially unobtainable. And unobtainable because it would be gobbled up by the big central banks and by industry, because they would want to take every supply they can in order to make their products. Those products would go up tremendously because we are literally dependent upon silver, especially for those industrial uses. There's no material that is replacing it, at least right now. Now, sooner or later, that would change. In other words, there would probably be a ramping up of research and development for graphene and other alternative metals that could be utilized. Copper would certainly be used once they ran out of silver. Silver is the best conductor. It's the most reflective metal. So it would may be obvious that there would be a substitution. And in a sense, if that does occur, then maybe, perhaps, those drivers of the price of silver would cause it to potentially go down, because there would be some recycling that would be occurring. In other words, people would sell their silver because the prices would be very, very high, but that would only happen so much. They can only do so much of that, to where we could take the existing supply and use it. more likely silver's price would not skyrocket as much as some people think, even though it would certainly go high because of that recycling factor. Gold, on the other hand, it's treasured, it's stored, and because it's treasured and stored, that means that its price will likely go up and stay up. We could see a widening gold to silver ratio because gold is largely stored, and likely its uses in industry and in science and technology would be very limited, and substitution would be researched as well there. And so losers would be those who are new into stacking. So if you're stacking silver and gold and you're just getting started, and you find out that mining has stopped, whether it be a massive spike that same month or year that announcement was made, if now who would win out in this circumstance? I believe there's only going to be one winner, and that is going to be long-time silver and gold stackers. In fact, even Think for Yourself made that mention as well to me. So that is who would win out. If you've been stacking and have had amassed a considerable amount of gold and silver, you are in the driver's seat, and you are going to reap rewards if you go to sell your gold and silver. And it's an interesting concept to think about, that potential that we could see gold and silver rise tremendously when you find out that you can't mine it anymore. No more gold and silver out of the ground, such as you see here. You know, how often do you see that happening, and how often have you seen the predictions that we are running out of gold and silver? Typically, it hasn't run out, and it won't run out anytime soon. And even if we've reached peak gold and silver production, we're at it's a very small slope. There's no real peak. If we've reached the apex of gold and silver production, and so that the following year you mine just a little bit less. And again, you have to think about new discoveries. You've heard them being featured by some of these gold and silver exploration companies on this channel. It's hit or miss there too. It's not an exact science. It's a predictive model. It's a risky venture, but nonetheless, it's there, and some of these companies have been quite successful. Others have not, but as you go through life, you realize there's chances you take, and there's risks involved. Make no bones about it. I just found these old bones laying around here, and that kind of is a signal here as to what could be. Everything dies, everything kind of erodes and goes away. But one thing is for sure, predictive analysis and kind of where things are and trying to understand the metals markets, more likely all that will go away too. But what will stay with us? Gold and silver, folks. That's right. Gold and silver are eternal. At least they've been around for as long as humanity has been around here. Really only discovered about between 5,000 years, 6,000 years ago, and utilized as money and as currency. And so we are seeing it now where it's not being utilized as money or currency for transactions day to day, but nonetheless recognized. In fact, that gold is recognized by the Bank of International Settlements as a Tier 1 asset, on par and equal to cash, and is liquid. And we see that with transactions between central banks. It is used as money. Silver, I look at as hibernating money. It's kind of asleep right now, but it is a commodity money that is certainly recognized and has been for most of the history of mankind and transactions with silver and coins and the like up until the mid-1960s. But it is still certainly something that is of value. And both of these metals together here certainly have perplexed and confused and frustrated mankind for centuries. And anything that humans touch with regard to any commodity or any metal, such as gold and silver, certainly will be ripe with corruption, and that is not going to go away. But the metals themselves are not and will not, cannot be corrupted because of their inherent properties. So there you have it. Fascinating indeed. Interesting concept to think about what would happen. And I'm curious to see what your thoughts are. That's most important. And I'm curious to see and to hear about what your thoughts are on gold and silver if mining were to be stopped right now. Where you think the prices would go, how you think these things will be sought after, a substitution and the like. Let me know in the comment section below. Would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all, and thanks again to Think for Yourself for the inspiration for this video. And I want to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.